Welcome to the Mind Solution podcast with Sarah Maud. The Mind Solution podcast is for leaders like you who are passionate about well-being in the workplace because you understand that a strong, resilient and happy workforce is the key to your organisation's success. The Mind Solution podcast is here to help you. So join us every week where we'll share with you powerful insights, strategies and know-how to ensure that your people and your organisation are truly thriving from the inside out. Welcome to the very first episode of the Mind Solution podcast, how to move your employees from surviving into thriving. My name's Sarah Maud, founder of the Mind Solution, and today marks World Mental Health Day. Now, it feels a really poignant day for me to be launching our podcast into the world today. Because whilst it's called World Mental Health Day, for many of you out there, it's really feeling like World Mental Health Year. It's been 7 months since everything that was familiar to us, our sense of routine, our sense of safety and security was taken away, leaving us feeling confused, feeling scared, feeling anxious and powerless. So today I want to talk to you about what you as an organisational leader can do to start to change the picture and support your employees as we continue to navigate through uncharted territory. And it really is uncharted territory, isn't it? And it's fair to say that 2020 has seen us go through the greatest amount of change that this century's ever experienced. It feels to many that change is the only constant at the moment. And that doesn't bode well for human beings, because humans like familiarity. We like routine. We like to be able to predict the future, because all of that makes us feel safe. And that's one thing above anything else that we are primed to do, is to keep ourselves safe. It's our innate survival response, and we've had every reason to trigger that survival response this year. Now, you might have heard of the survival response as the freeze, fight and flight response, and that is what your survival response is. Now, since this pandemic began, we've naturally been activating that. And we certainly saw evidence of that earlier in the year when we were fed this constant stream of messages from the media. We had people panic buying. You couldn't get hand sanitizer or cleaning wipes for love nor money. It was like gold dust. It was like survival of the fittest. Although out of curiosity, Charles Darwin actually mentions love 95 times in The Descendant of Man and actually only mentions survival of the fittest twice. Maybe something we can learn from that. But when it comes to the stress response, it's perfectly normal and natural to activate that survival response in relation to what has been going on. But what we now have is a huge percentage of the population still living in that survival response. You know, stress levels are the highest that they've ever been. Now, the body was designed to handle short bursts of stress, but we're not designed to live in the stress response. So what we've got is having an acute response to the pandemic, to people now experiencing chronic stress. And it's hardly surprising. You know, as a human-given psychotherapist, I teach about our basic human needs. So, for example, our need for love and intimacy, our need for a mind-body connection, our need for a sense of safety and security, a sense of control, meaning and purpose. And we pretty much lost that overnight. Or if you think of it in terms of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, our basic need for security. Now, the term work-related stress isn't a new one. But when it comes to work-related stress at the moment, well, it's kind of impossible to say what's the straw that broke the camel's back. Is it really work-related, or is it just that we can't cope anymore? You know, we've got employees that are trying to juggle caring responsibilities. We've got the pressure of still homeschooling for some people. We've got the pressure that parents have been putting on themselves to keep up education and all the work that schools have been sending out, whilst also maintaining their job and the standards within their job. You've got people who are trying to work in cramped conditions, working with flatmates, working with their partners, that maybe don't have a spare room or a spare office to work from. So they haven't got workstations. I remember one person saying to me, you know, my company's been great. They've said I can get a table and a chair if I need one. She said, but I can't actually fit it into my flat. So I'm just having to perch on the coffee table. You know, we've got people that are trying to navigate new systems and technology. And we could be forgiven for thinking that everybody's up to speed with technology, but actually a lot of the baby boomers have really struggled getting up to speed with technology. We've got employees that are living in isolation. People on furlough feeling left out and disconnected, that fear of missing out. So add all of that into the mix. Is it work-related stress, or is it just a natural response to this whole situation? Now, I've trained hundreds of managers in managing mental health in the workplace over the last few months, and it's been wonderful to see so many organisations being proactive in getting their managers upskilled in this crucial, vital area. But what I have witnessed is so many managers who've been working excessively long hours, even more so than before. You know, going from Teams to team meetings or Zoom to Zoom meetings, literally back to back. You know, not even putting time in their diary to just have a natural break, grab some water, stretch, move the body. Their foot's just been on the accelerator, knocking out 12-hour days, and it's simply not sustainable. Now, having spent more than half of the year in the stress response, what we as leaders need to do is act. Because if we don't act now, then the consequences are really going to be felt. We can't expect our employees to have been on this crazy journey and not have their mental health impacted. It's crucial that we educate our employees to identify the signs and to give them the tools to help stop surviving and move into a natural state of well-being, to move into thriving again. We need to teach employees at work how to create internal order when there's chaos on the outside. So what can you do as a leader today that's going to start to begin to change this picture? What can you do right now that's going to start to transform the health and the well-being of your people? Well, there's a number of things that you can do. But first up, I'd say that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. You don't have to do everything all at once. In fact, small actions done consistently will lead to long-term change. What you don't want to do is throw jelly against the wall and hope that it sticks. Now, one of the things that I talk about in the Economist white paper that was published yesterday on the future of work and digital well-being is about surveying your people. Find out what it is that your people need. Take a temperature check of their mental health. What's worked well for them? What hasn't? What have they struggled with? What systems and processes and infrastructure has been supporting them as they continue to work from home, and what needs addressing. What are the immediate bleeding neck concerns, and what are the nice to haves? And using survey functions to be able to gather that data, gather that intelligence, because that data can help you to create initiatives and form plans that meet their needs. And with those plans is communicating to your employees what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. Because we know, don't we, that communication is key. And even sometimes when we've got nothing to communicate, even communicating that can be communication. But staying in touch with our employees, telling them what we're doing, when we're doing it, why we're doing it, helps to alleviate insecurity and uncertainty. Also helps to build trust. So I would encourage you, if you're not already, to really start to plan those questions that are going to help you to tease out what it is that your people need. Now, secondly, this also ties in with the research from the Economist white paper that was published, which highlighted that sadly less than 40% of people have had a good conversation with their manager about mental health. Now, if there was ever a time to be talking to your people about their mental health and well-being, it is now. But a lot of managers, I know from having run so many polls in the training that we provide, hold back on having conversations about people's mental health and well-being because of fear. Fear of getting it wrong, fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of making it worse. So some managers maybe take the path of least resistance in not having that conversation. But it's normal and it's natural for every single one of us to have had our mental health and well-being compromised in some way, shape or form. And there is still a lot of stigma around mental health. There's this fear from employees that if they say that they're struggling, that they might be judged. They might be seen to be weak. They might worry about their job. They might worry about the consequences. They might think that they'll get treated differently. They'll be discriminated against. So we need to start having these conversations and normalising mental health. We need to get the message out there that, you know what, we're all in this together. And a great way that managers can do that is also showing a little bit of their own vulnerability. Is being able to say, you know what, I haven't got it all worked out just yet. I'm kind of still trying to navigate things day to day. My kids are driving me up the wall and I'm really struggling with my sleep as well. You know, we need to have normal human conversations about mental health, but it doesn't come naturally to everybody. So I would absolutely encourage you to invest in upskilling your managers in management mental health training so that you can give them both the knowledge of how to spot these signs within their teams and the confidence to be able to have courageous and effective conversations that are a win-win for everybody. And then finally, as leaders in the organisation, be the change that you want to see in your people. You know, we can't expect the best from our people if we're not role modelling that. So this is also an invitation to look at what you're communicating about being the best version of yourself. Are you working smarter or harder? Are you sending emails at 5 o'clock in the morning and 10 o'clock at night and at the weekend? Are you sending out a message to your team that actually you have got headspace and spare capacity to be able to support somebody if they say that they're not okay? You know, we send out so many unconscious signals. In fact, probably about 90% of what we're communicating is unconscious. And it's very much about what is it that our employees are also viewing, the non-verbal cues and the behaviours that let them know whether it's safe for them to say that they're struggling. Because if employees don't feel safe to say that actually they need help, then, any of these It's Time to Talk initiatives are going to fall on deaf ears. Because in order for us to be vulnerable, we have to feel safe. So what is it that you as a leader, as a manager, can communicate both verbally and non-verbally that allows your team, your members of your team, to feel okay about coming forward and talking about their mental health and well-being? So be the change that you want to see. So that's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. I'm so excited about launching this podcast into the world, helping to share strategies, tips, techniques, and knowledge to empower you as organisational leaders to really transform the health and well-being of your organisation, of your workforce, of your people. So to find out more about how the Mind Solution can support your organisation, head on over to themindsolution.com. My name's Sarah Maud, and you can join me next week where I'll be interviewing Finance Director Helga Taylor about getting the numbers right when it comes to investing in mental health and well-being in the workplace. So have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.